since we're talking sex in plants, there's a thing where they actually can have, I'm just going to go over here. You can have a rose, and inside a rose will be the female part, and then you get the male part. So everything is in one plant. So we call it monoecious. Like monoecious, it means one, all in one. Then you get a squash where you have a female and the ovary is below, and you have a male squash where it stands up nice and tall and no bottom. And this is the guy, and here's the girl. And this comes up, and this has a very large one, and this comes up with a very small one. This comes over the pollen. A bee will come, again, bee will come because this is monoecious. It's not a monocot, it's a monoecious. It means one house. And so, again, it's one, all in one monoecious. And then we have two houses here, male and female, and it's a squash. And guess what? So one of the guys was at our Thanksgiving dinner, old Italian fellow. He said, I'm going to go home and fertilize my squash. And we're going, yeah, I have to go over and take the male and just shove it down on the female so I get more squash. So sometimes I have people say, I'm not getting any squash. I'm not. And what you'll find is in the spring, you'll probably have more female ones, and you won't find any males. And then you're not going to have squash. And I've noticed towards the fall, we're getting a lot more male ones. At least out here in California, that's what I'm seeing. And so, if you don't have both of them there, you don't get any. So what happens if you get a squash female that comes and it off the vine here. So what'll happen is, here you are, you want very much to have a squash, and it starts growing. The petals fall off and starts growing. And you say, oh my God, it gets this big, turns yellow, and drops off. And so I've had people asking, why is I didn't water? Did I mess up? No, this squash did not get fertilized. You did absolutely nothing wrong. Again, this is a diecious plant, and when you have diecious, this will drop off the vine, and you go, it's because you'll know your stuff isn't fertilized. And if you don't have bees, and we're having a big problem with bees because of the verolomite and the other that's come over, and so it's unless you have a beekeeper near you, you might not have bees. So you might have to hand pollinate.
At what point in the growth process does the pollination need to happen? Because I've had exactly that problem before. If I get the little yellow flower and then it falls off and dies, like when do you do the hand?
When you see them, okay, here we go. How do you know when to pollinate? When you see the flower looking vigorous and beautiful, not wilting, because then that's drying out. You just take what's there and you can put it inside there and do it. If you have bees, in fact, bees are wonderful because even strawberries, even if they're going to strawberries, they're dicots. They actually, the more the bees visit the flowers, the sweeter the berries are. So it actually has a lot of effect to have native insects pollinating, or non-native, which is the honeybee from Europe. So we have things like orchard bees that you don't have to have a beehive, and they need mud, and they actually will, they actually are better pollinators than the honeybee because they're really bad at it. They go in and they scatter pollen all over the place, and they get it all over themselves. They look ridiculous, and then they every place they're going, they're spreading pollen. So they're really good. However, they actually will take a tube and they'll put in their egg, they'll put in some pollen, and then put some mud, and then they'll put another one in some mud, and then they come out in the spring. And they're little tiny bees, and they're really wonderful. So you could actually have bees at home if you think you're not getting the pollination.